Hi guys, welcome to another episode of That's Just a Fear Talking with me, Simon Morell. If you know me by now, you know I'm the author of the true stories from Bully to Black Belt and the sequel An Everyday Warrior and the forthcoming book Real Fear. You'll know from my history that I've suffered from a lifetime of fear, being full to at certain times of being full to the brim of it. It's made me depressed, it's made me anxious and I couldn't control it. I let fear control me. I was abused non-sexually by a father, I was bullied by my peers. I suffered from a very, very low self-esteem. I suffered from agoraphobia and panic attacks. And eventually I decided enough was enough. I couldn't keep living under this domain of fear. And so I set about learning how to control it, making it work for me. So I want to make this a short one today. I want to give you some tips that worked for me in controlling my fear, whether it was going through for an event such as a downgrade, whether it's an everyday life thing like going to work, which could be a fearful thing for me due to the nature of what I put up with at work, whether it could be when I later got into public speaking, when I got into writing, etc, etc. And these techniques are things that I hope that will help you through your day, through your fear. They don't have to be worked at any particular time or in any particular order. You use them as and when you see fit. The biggest one for me was to control my breathing. I tended to breathe very shallow, I tended to talk a little bit too quick, and so I'd get very anxious. So before a particular event, even getting up in the morning, I would do deep breathing. My particular method that I favoured, and again, yours will vary. I would breathe in for 4 seconds, I would hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold it at the down position for 4 seconds. So it's in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, and I'd repeat that for 10 reps, okay? So that's 40 breaths, yeah? And that I found would slow me down a little bit, it would clear my mind a little bit. Another thing I found helped enormously was positive self-talk. There are enough people out there in this world telling us, the naysayers, we can't do this, we can't do that, who are you to do this, who are you to do the other. So positive self-talk, self-affirmation I think it's called, okay? You be realistic with yourself, you set your goals, but you tell yourself you can do it. You accept it's not going to be easy, but you can do it, okay? There's going to be work to be put in, but you can do it. You're going to have to find your courage, but you can do it. And you have positive self-talk, give yourself them little pats on the back. Another great thing that worked for me was visualization. That's very common with people who are struggling with fear. I'm going to give it for an example. My first downgrade, I was terrified. I was going in front of Alfie Lewis. I knew I was going to be fighting monsters from all over the country. 6 months beforehand, I started to have a bit of a wobble, started to panic a little bit. So I learned to visualise, and I saw myself actually going into the room at the George Cornell Centre in Manchester. I saw myself doing my basics. I saw myself fighting the 5 rounds I had to fight. I saw myself being awarded my black belt at the end, and then how proud I'd be when I put that black belt on. And then so I visualised myself getting the black belt. Of course, this all helps. It's like watching a movie of your own life, which is coming up soon, by the way. And so you visualise what you want in life, and then you go out and you set to achieve it. Another thing was to do things in small steps. Sometimes we can do things in big steps, and we just take that massive leap of faith, and we crack on with what we're doing, and we go straight to our goal. Other times you have to do it bit by bit. I find, for me personally, the grading system in martial arts were a treat for me, because you don't walk into a martial art dojo and 3 months later you take your first belt and it's a black belt, okay? That just doesn't happen, or it shouldn't happen. So you go yellow belts, orange belts, green belts, red belts, blue belt, purple belts, etc. So them stages, your first grading takes maybe 20 minutes, your first dan could take up to 3-4 hours, okay? And that takes 4 years. All right, so that's kind of like a pyramid system, really. If you look at another big favourite of mine is obviously writing. I love writing books. I didn't just go and write the book from Bully to Black Belt that I sold throughout the world and be scripted into a feature film. I just didn't do that overnight. I started off with a small article, Fear. Then I started off with an article called, my second one was called Dipping Your Toes in the Water. And then the third one was Breathing in Your Courage. And then eventually that led to the book From Bully to Black Belt. So that probably took a process of possibly 3 years for me to be able to produce that book, be able to publish that book. So small steps lead to big goals, okay? Another great thing, which you certainly need for martial arts, but you need for the walks of life, I think, is physical exercise. Anytime you perform physical exercise, be it bag work, running, a brisk walk, a session on the weights, okay, you get that lovely endorphin release. It builds your confidence, it makes you feel good about yourself, and of course the overall health benefits are there to be seen. So physical exercise 2 to 3 times a week if you're not really into it. If you're into it like a professional martial artist, 5 to 6 times a week. Make 2 of them sessions heavy, make 3 or 4 of them doable, you know, where you're working on your basics, etc. But no less than 20 minutes, no more than an hour, I think, okay? Any less than 20 minutes, you don't really feel the benefits, okay? So work at a good rate, get your heart rate working, get the sweat going, make sure you're breathing, you're controlling your breathing. So physical exercise is an absolute must for overcoming our fears. And of course, there is your support system. I've had a session this afternoon with one of my clients here in Fight Fortress, a private Krav Maga session, and we were talking about support systems and where they come from in life. I've been extremely lucky that when I was a kid, I didn't really have much of a support system. But when I met Julie and later on our children came along, they were just such a great support system for me. And of course, once I started going out and achieving what I was going to achieve, the instructors I had, the fellow training partners I had, even the students at Fight Fortress, a great support system. And not just people who tell you what you want to hear, not just people who are going to pat you on the back and tell you how great you are, okay? A support system won't always do that. A support system will point out where you're going wrong, where you could do better, etc. All right, but they're always there for you. They've always got your back. They're not necessarily going to rubbish you just for the sake of rubbishing you. So make sure you've got a good support system. People who, like I say, have your back and are watching out for you and giving you a bunk up when you need a bunk up, and giving you a pull up when you need a pull up, and so on and so forth. So the first 3 in any particular order are breathing exercises, then there's positive self-talk, then there's visualization, then there's your support system, then your physical exercise, along with your fear pyramid, you know, the gradual exposure to what you're trying to achieve. So go out there, I hope this helps. Go out there, do your thing, have courage. Remember, always where there is courage, there is hope. Surround yourself with positive people and go out there and find out exactly what's yours and grab it. Best of luck to you all.